Hello, everybody. I'd like to give a huge shout out to our sponsor, the Transgender Center of the Rockies, a program of Mile High Behavioral Healthcare. They are this season's Authenticity Ambassador, and we thank them for their support. I would also like to thank our sponsor for this episode, Partners and Passports, for being our authenticity advocate. Thank you so much for your support. Welcome to Being You, an SPH Productions presentation. My name is Shane Hodges, licensed professional counselor and author of It's Time to Be You, How to Become Your Most Authentic Self. My guest today is Aurora Sexton. Thank you so much for being here today, Aurora.
Thank you for having me.
How are we doing today?
I'm good. I'm good. It's a beautiful sunny day here in California.
Excellent. Well, I like to start the show with a rapid fire Q&A. I take 60 seconds and ask my guests as many quick answer questions as I can,
Oh
and we
God.
see how many we can get through.
All right.
So,
Shoot.
are we ready? Get my spectacles on. First car.
First car. Uh shit, what's that? Hot Wheels.
Sequins or feathers?
Oh, sequins.
Who's your diva?
Me, myself, and I.
Love that. Pride or Halloween?
Pride.
Which Golden Girl are you?
Oh, Blanche, definitely.
Childhood best friend?
His name's E-Rock and still my childhood best friend.
Love that. Would you bungee jump?
Hell no.
Biggest fear?
Bungee jumping.
Mountains or beach?
Beach.
Right.
Well,
And
I don't
least
know. It's
favorite
hard. It's
smell?
hard because I grew up with the mountains, but now I'm on the beach. So
I was gonna say.
both.
Okay.
I'm indifferent.
All right. Well, let's get to know a little bit more about what you do. Now, you are an actress, a model, an artist, a drag icon, and a trans rights activist. So, really, you have nothing going on, clearly.
Very boring life.
What are
Yes.
you working on currently?
Um, myself. I've been very blessed to work in film and television, and things are really weird in the industry right now with everything going on with our government, with the country. Our industry is still recovering from COVID and strikes and all sorts of things. So work has been kind of weird for our industry for a minute. So it's really inspired a lot of us, myself in particular, to self-reflect and be like, what message do I want to put out to the world? What kind of art do I want to create? And it's forced me to self-reflect and grow as an artist, as a person, as an actor. And I think the work that I'm doing now is reflective of that and the times that we are living in. For the past 2 years, I've been working on my first feature documentary film, which is about trans rights in America, protecting the dolls. And I didn't grow up wanting to be an activist, or I just wanted to act and
Okay.
sing, dance, and be in the movies. And then I found that the world can often be a very unkind place to people like us. And the lies and the vitriol that they have spit out for the past several years concerning our community and accusing us of being pedophiles and groomers and the worst kind of monsters, nobody's pushing back on that the way that I thought they should. And I felt like somebody has to say something. I have something to say. And then I realized what a unique position I am in to say it. Living and working in Hollywood, being around a lot of movers and shakers, and I moved here to be in film. So why not make a film about something that is very personal to me, which is
Mhm.
my community and frankly my life.
Well, since you brought it up, and I did see a teaser for the documentary, I'm very excited. The teaser was amazing.
Thank you.
As a trans person and activist, and with everything that's happening in recent months and years, what do you want to accomplish through your activism?
I want to make life easier for the next generation that comes after me, the way that the generation before me made things easier so that I could enjoy a free life as a trans person.
Hmm.
And I also want to say being trans isn't my whole life. It's just a very small part of who I am. And I would rather be talking about anything else. unfortunately, the world we live in is making us fight for our right to exist, our right to have medical care, our right to be able to hold a job, get gainful employment, travel freely throughout the world with the right documentation. During my pageant years, I did a lot of mentorship with a lot of young trans people, a lot of young queer
Mhm.
people. And recently, a cousin of mine who's very young came out to their family as trans, non-binary. They're still kind of figuring out their journey. And I was like, wow, I'm not the only one in my family anymore. I'm not,
Mhm.
it wasn't just like an anomaly, we do
Yeah.
exist. And luckily, I had a family that was very accepting and loving and supportive of me, but that's because they had the right information and the right education and tools at their fingertips to say, hey, this is what's going on with my child, and these are my options so that my child can live a
Mhm.
happy, healthy life. And right now we see not only those tools being actively taken away, but right now before the Supreme Court, they want to bring back conversion therapy, which is a
Oh,
horrific form of
yes.
torture to try and turn you straight. The ramifications for that are unimaginable.
Oh, yeah, it's
Um,
horrifying. As a mental
yeah,
health professional, I find it absolutely disgusting, and I'm very unsettled by what's coming out on that.
yeah. And I think
Well,
that it's more important than ever that we all collectively have to use our voices and speak up and say something now while we
yeah,
can.
agreed. Agreed. So you are originally from Denver, and I'm in Denver.
I
Is
noticed
it
that.
true that your first drag performance was at 15 years old and your mother had to sign a waiver for you to perform?
Actually, I was 13 years old and it was a like talent showcase in Boulder, Colorado.
Okay.
And I was so excited.
I can imagine.
I was so nervous. Terrible. But that was kind of when the bug hit. And then I started doing drag shows at this coffee house called Dad's that was
Mhm.
off Alameda. And that's where all the kids would go. Like Rainbow Alley wasn't a thing yet. There was nowhere really
Okay.
for gay kids to go. So everybody just started hanging out at this coffee house. And then the older professional drag queens started coming in to our shows and doing shows with us and invite us into the Imperial Court system, which was there. They created a youth title, Miss Gay Pride Youth of all Colorado, which I won the first one. And then at 15, I was offered my first cast position at the only professional show at the time in Denver. It was called Maddie Silk's House and Mirrors. Tara B. Tempest, Kinsey Rapport, Alexandra Winters, my drag mother, Kira Sexton, Christina Leonce,
Yep.
and like it was the divas of the day. And I was this kid that they were just like, hey, do you want a job? And so that was what my mom had to sign a parental consent for.
Okay.
And it was just a really wild ride. From there, at 16, I started working at Trax 2000, the original one that's
Yep.
now paved over condos.
Right.
I was like the little VIP door girl doing bracelets
Love it.
and sneaking shots of vodka under the bar.
Love it. Well, through your other ventures, you have worked with a variety of well-known stars. Have you ever had a starstruck moment?
Absolutely. I try not to, the more you're around stars of that caliber, I think the more used to get it because they're all just people. And they're all just people that had dreams and their dreams just came true. I think the only people that I really just had to pick my job off the floor and almost didn't know what to say was Dolly Parton because
Oh,
she's just, and thank God she's okay. I was so,
right?
I think we were all worried, like, no, not Dolly. We're not ready. We're not ready.
Yes.
And I think the other one was Kate Beckinsale because I wasn't
Oh, I love
expecting to
her.
meet her. I met her at a party and she was always one of my beauty icons. She was on my wall and stuff like she's so gorgeous. And then one night I'm at a party and she turns around like so she's like, hello, darling, I'm Kate. And I was like,
I
hi.
love it. Okay, that's amazing. I think she is stunning.
Oh, and in
Ah,
person, even more stunning.
and anyone with a British accent, I'm like, I'm sold. I'm sold. Anyway, well, how have you handled your own fame and notoriety?
I think pretty well. When I was young growing up, I had a dream, and that dream's never wavered, and that was to be where I am now. And
Nice.
I remember when I was coming up in the industry, the professional drag industry, because before Drag Race, you got your fame and fortune doing the pageant circuit. And I was very
Hmm.
fortunate to win several of those, Miss Gay US of A, National Entertainer of the Year. And touring and meeting so many queens, I remember there were these legendary icons that I couldn't wait to meet. And some of them were not very kind or nice.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, you know what? I will never do that to anybody that looks at me that way because I never want to make anybody feel how they made me feel.
Yeah.
And I have a really good support system around me that continually humbles me and brings me down to earth and also reminds me why I got into this in the first place because it's what I love to do. And it's because it's
Those
my,
are good friends.
yeah, I think whatever you do, if it's your calling, it's your passion, that's why you do it. Um,
Hmm.
and I think the people that tend to be unkind are in it for the wrong reasons.
I
The
agree. I agree. So
true.
love that. Well, thank you for sharing the information about what you've done. And I know there's so much more, but I want to get a little more personal.
Sure.
In another interview that I watched, you stated that you left home at 13 years old.
Mhm.
How did that scenario play out?
It's not something I talk about too much anymore because I'm in
And we
a,
do not have to, if
oh
you
no,
would not
oh
like.
no, it's fine, it's fine. Because I am in a different place in my life, and a
Hmm.
better place. At that time, I grew up in Arvada and I was raised by my mother and my grandmother, and I had a very normal kind of Wonder Years suburban childhood.
You just aged yourself with that one.
I'm 71 years old.
You look fabulous,
Oh,
darling.
thanks. I've had a lot of help. No, and they were always very supportive of me because I wanted to draw, I wanted to paint, I wanted to act. I was in community theater, I
Hmm.
was doing all these things, and they allowed me to freely express myself. And then my mother got married to a man that did not allow that. And for about 5 years of my life, he was very controlling and abusive, and it got to the point where I finally fought back and I was thrown out. And
At
so
13.
at 13, I found myself homeless and kind of couch surfing and bouncing around from place to place until I met my drag mother, Kira Sexton, and her husband. And then they started to help me gain some stability, and they became friends with my mother and built a relationship with her. They kind of helped
Nice.
facilitate bringing us back together. And when it came to me being trans, my mother never wavered on that. In that sense, she always showed up for me and was always there. And I think when we finally had it out about those things that happened to me I was able to forgive and move on. And I think forgiveness, it seems so impossible when you're younger, but it's as you get
Yeah.
older, it's so important and it's so vital. It
It's
doesn't matter
liberating.
if you're right or wrong. You have to forgive other people for yourself so that
Yeah.
you can move on and that you can have a better life. And my life could have gone along in a lot of different directions. I mean, statistically, I shouldn't be here. There's so many friends from that time, that era, who were also in the same boat as I was, coming from
Mhm.
abusive homes or being unhoused or ended up drug addicts, alcoholics, suicide, and all these other things. And call it divine intervention, angels, whatever. Somebody up there was looking over me
Mhm.
and looking out for me.
So
I really feel that I've always felt destined that I was meant for something greater. And I wouldn't be here at my life now
mhm.
if those things hadn't happened to me. So
I often point out as a therapist, while I would never wish trauma on anyone, I am a realist and I have to acknowledge what that trauma does for us and in what ways it, I will say, creates opportunity.
Mhm.
or pushes us to become something that in some way benefits us. It's not great. That's how we got there, but I appreciate when someone can acknowledge that. I'm wondering, how old were you when you first knew that you were trans?
I always knew I was different.
Hmm.
I think that's a universal theme amongst our community,
Absolutely.
but I didn't really have a word for it. I didn't
Yeah.
really know what it meant because at that time, there was no mainstream trans healthcare. Transgender was not a household word. There were no trans people on TV to look at and say, oh, that's me.
Right.
It wasn't until 12, I think I saw a documentary on HBO called Drag Time, and Candace Kane was on there. I saw her twirl across the stage in this rhinestone Britney Spears catsuit, and I was like, who is she? She
Hmm.
is gorgeous. And I didn't want to be her, but I wanted to live the kind of life she was living. And
Yeah.
that kind of opened the door to me exploring my gender. And even from the time I was a little kid, I was always in my mom's clothes. I always gravitated toward the effeminate in everything.
Hmm.
And I remember being on all these medications when I was a kid, Prozac and Ritalin and all this. I wouldn't even take it. Like to this day, they're still finding pills hidden around the house. And I asked my grandmother a couple years before she passed, and I was like, why was I always on medication when I was little? And she said,
Hmm.
well, because you wanted to wear dresses and we didn't know.
Mm.
And
Wow.
when I finally got into professional therapy and I was officially diagnosed with gender dysphoria and they talked about transitioning, it made so much sense to
Right.
my family. They were like, finally, we understand what this is about. And
Ah.
once they saw my life shift after I transitioned, they understood that it was the best thing for me because
Hmm.
because I wasn't happy and I wasn't going to be happy if
Yeah.
I wasn't allowed to make that choice for myself. But because I
Yep.
was, and because I had that support and that love of my family, I've been able to build a really kick-ass, cool life for myself.
Love that. And I want to ask, because you mentioned family, and in the queer community, a lot of us have chosen family because of, various reasons that our bio family, or however you want to refer to it, is or is not involved. You mentioned your drag mother,
Yes.
Kira. So what year was it that you met Kira, roughly?
Ooh, it would have been like 1998.
Okay.
I want to say
So that
somewhere
was
around
around the
there, like
time.
somewhere 98, 99, somewhere in there.
Yeah, that was around the time that I moved to Denver. And so I've always known of the Sexton family. How big is the family at this time?
It's like gremlins. They're just
That's
multiplying every day.
hilarious.
It's a big family. I've got a lot of brothers and sisters. They have kids,
Hmm.
their kids have kids, babies having babies.
Love
Um,
it.
but it's cool. It's cool to be able to go home and still have that support system and that structure there and see
Yeah.
everybody doing great things with their own lives and honoring our mother
Yes.
and the legacy that she left behind.
My husband was starting in the queer community around that time, and he actually remembers you from back then. He's worked with several of the Sextons over the years as he's the MC of Pride Fest. When he found out I was interviewing you, he's like, "Oh my God, I've known her forever."
Wait, is that
Um,
Marcio?
yeah,
Oh, you're married to Marcio?
yeah,
Oh my gosh.
yeah.
Wait, I had to stalk your YouTube a little bit because I was like, what am I going on? And I started seeing a lot of familiar faces, and I saw Marcio, and he was talking about people's first prides, and he was actually the MC at my first pride. I was, it was some
Mhm.
friends, and I was just blown away by because I'd never been around anything like it, and he was there for
And
them.
now I wanted to ask you, you grew up in Arvada, moved to Chicago, Nashville, and now are in LA.
Mhm.
Quite different cities. How has it been adapting to those differences?
You know, life is a journey and you just got to take it. You have to take chances, you have to take risks. I moved to Chicago because I had two friends that were heading out and they were like, "Do you want to come with us?" And I was 20. I had $800 and two suitcases, and I was like, "Fuck yeah, get me the fuck out of here." Just because at that time there was nothing there for me. There was nothing keeping me there. And I knew I wanted a bigger life than that.
Yeah.
And I've always internally known like I've learned as much as I can in this place. It's time to go to a new place and experience something new, experience a
Yes.
different kind of life. Denver born and bred me, Chicago, and I think being in Miss Continental polished and refined me and trained
Hmm.
me. And Chicago is an amazing, beautiful, wonderful, liberal city to grow up in. It breaks my heart what's happening now with ICE and all that shit, but
Yes.
I won't get into that right now because I'll be here for an hour.
Yeah.
Nashville definitely humbled me because I never thought in a million years I'd wake up and say, I live in Tennessee.
Right.
And a lot of people just view it as this flyover state, but Tennessee has a very vibrant, beautiful queer community. There's a lot of
Hmm.
trans people there. There's a lot of trans men, especially in the South. And so that opened my eyes to a lot of different ways of life. And then I moved to LA to pursue my dreams because I was like, you know what? I'm not getting any younger. And if I'm going to do this, I got to do it now. And I'll tell you what, living in a city like LA or New York will kick the shit out of you,
I can
especially for the
imagine.
business I'm in. You get rejected nonstop. It's no, 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 no,
Hmm.
no until you get that one yes. And those
Yeah.
little yeses build up into a beautiful life and a beautiful career. And I love living at art. And I'm so thankful to live in a blue state, like as you do too, where we
Yes.
are supported by our government and we have health care and we have access to do
Yes.
tons of things. And I have a wonderful roommate that I live with. And
Well, I want to be cognizant of your time. I want to move to our final segment, which is the wow segment of our program, the words of wisdom. What, if any, advice or wisdom would you like to share with others regarding being your most authentic self?
uh, get the money before you take your clothes off. At least that was the first piece of advice I got moving here. No, don't do that, kids. Don't do that.
Have you ever seen the
Oh,
movie Drop Dead Gorgeous?
of course.
Yeah.
For,
So,
for Christ's sakes, your mother grabbed your tap shoes before being shot at the trailer like a lawn dart.
love it.
I would say words of wisdom for being your authentic self. Nobody will ever know you the way you know you. Always trust your gut. And if something doesn't feel right, if it's a friendship, if it's a relationship, if it's somebody telling you you need to have surgery or you need to do something in order to be accepted or loved or whatever, always listen to yourself first and
Thank you.
let that be your guiding light.
Well, last thing, what, if any, information would you like to share in terms of socials or email address, website, etc.?
Well, I'm not giving out my email because then I'll get some weird messages,
Good
as I
choice.
have before. But you can follow me on all my socials, Aurora Sexton, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. I think that's it. But yeah, I'm always posting my schedule and things I'm working on and things that are going on in the world that I'm passionate about. So please stalk me and keep up with me. And thank you so much for allowing me to come on your platform and share my
Thank
story and my
you.
thoughts.
Thank you for being here today. Again, Aurora Sexton. Thank you all for watching. My name is Shane Hodges, author of It's Time to Be You, How to Become Your Most Authentic Self. Be yourselves and have a great day, everybody. Take care.
Thank you, Shane.
Thanks again to the Transgender Center of the Rockies for being this season's Authenticity Ambassador. We appreciate all the work you do. Check them out at transgendercenteroftherockies.org.